So this used to be my grandma's PC up until a couple of months ago, and she ended up changing it because it wasn't booting anymore. Not that it was really functioning at all before. It ran Windows 8 and even that was very, very heavy for it. Anyway, this PC is not quite 20 years old, but it's very close. Too close, maybe. Now, I took it and it wasn't booting, so I cleaned everything up. I removed everything, tried again, and it now works. No idea why. No components was giving me problems, but hey, at least it works. Anyway, I didn't film any of this process, so here's a faithful recreation. Now, this PC wasn't really a gaming beast for 2007. It was already pretty low end at that time. It had a Core 2 Duo E4500, which is a 2-core, 2.2 GHz CPU with 2 megabytes of cache. That's, 2-core isn't great, but those GHz is much worse. We then got a red MSI motherboard with some kind of Intel integrated GPU, but we're not gonna be needing that GPU because we have a discrete one, and it's very discrete. It's a GT210, also known as the worst GPU Nvidia has ever released, and yeah, it's bad. We then got some obscure 550 watt PSU and 2 Molex fans, and one of them is just aimed at the fucking wall. I mean, there is some holes to like make it breathe a little bit, but it's not great, It's very bad. It's basically useless. Anyway, the funniest part about the PC is the 3 gigabytes of mismatched DDR2. Like, there's a normal 1 gig DIMM, 800 MHz, and then there's another one which for some reason it's 2 gigabytes, it's from a different brand, it's completely different, and it's somehow shorter. I've never seen this kind of RAM. This is so funny. I can't stop laughing when looking at it. I swear, I don't know what that is. Anyway, I know what you came in here for. How well does it game? Well, first of all, I decided to install Arch Linux on it, and well, didn't really go as planned. I have no idea how to use Arch Linux, and so I kind of broke the installation in less than 1 day. Then I installed the Linux Mint, the lighter version with Xfce, and then I tested a lot of different games that I thought could run on this PC, and the results are kind of strange. Now, for some reason, Cookie Clicker, which you will think is a very optimized game, or at least a very light one, didn't run, which is very preoccupying, but there's some more demanding games that actually did run, so I'm really not sure what's happening here. Then there's Donut Candy, which could go pretty low in resolution, but after a certain point you literally couldn't read anything. So I kept it at the lowest resolution I could read anything, and it ran like shit. So that's not good either. How about Slime Rancher? Slime Rancher was actually almost playable. It was very laggy. But it was also kept at 600p resolution, which, what, could have gotten lower, I think. Maybe we could somehow run this, no idea how. Still, Dome Keeper was actually playable. It was not a great experience, but, not a bad one either. Then BDD6 actually took something like a month to load, and then it had absolute shitty performance, and to the point where I couldn't even get to the settings and change them. So yeah, FNAF was shitty. Yeah, was surprisingly shitty, because I remember playing UCN on this PC, and it actually ran very well. I think it's maybe Proton is ruining it. I'm not really sure why it's FNAF, the first FNAF, is so heavy. Maybe UCN was incredibly optimized. No idea. Then I wanted to try a really modern game, even though Dome Keeper was actually somewhat modern. And so I tried Mindwave, and yeah, no, didn't run at all. That leaves us with Celeste, which actually ran pretty good. Like I could literally play this game on this PC. I mean, sometimes it did stutter a little bit, but overall I could actually play the game, you know, even if the game requires you to be really careful in everything you do. This was actually playable. And finally, Osu, which seemed kinda bad, and then I lowered the resolution, and it actually isn't that bad. My skills are not that good, and I'm also playing on this cheap-ass keyboard and at like 40 FPS with a skin I don't really use, so don't judge me, please. Anyway, now what if you want to play games that are older than this PC? Well, emulation, you know, you can easily emulate like NES as NES titles. Those are very lightweight and work on any device basically, and this is no exception. Tetris ran great, and this is very addicting, and I definitely did not spend something like 30 minutes playing Tetris while I was trying to record the video. But for some reason I also tried to install PS1 and PS2 games, but nah, they just crashed. Don't know if it's a RetroArch problem, I don't really use it that much, but still, apparently PS2 and PS1 and PS2 are out of the question. Now, this is an actual game that's running, well, on my PC. Still, streaming games is actually very smooth. I could play like 1080p 60 fps no problem, and yes, your network is obviously going to be the bottleneck if there is a bottleneck, and well, the two PCs were both connected using LAN and my network is kind of fast, so there was no problem at all. But still, I wasn't expecting the GPU to be able to decode all of those frames per second, so that was actually a nice surprise. Also, I've got a video coming up explaining Moonlight, Sunshine and everything you can do to turn your PC into your own little streaming services. So if you want to see that, remember to subscribe and like the video. So, before we wrap this video, was it worth it? No. This is complete shit. And the amount of time I spent optimizing stuff, they really did not make up for the performance I got. Now, I was thinking that I could maybe get a little bit more performance using something like Void Linux and maybe overclocking the GT to 10. Maybe that's out of the question, I'm really not sure. But if you want to see that, I'm going to do it in a future video. I'm probably going to try it, and if there are actual results that make games I wasn't really able to play before actually playable now, well then yeah, maybe I will do another video. And finally, this guy can maybe come in handy as a server, you know, a very simple NAS. It's going to be very slow, and especially very inefficient and consume a lot of power for a lot of not performance. But still, it could at least work. So yeah, now I gotta close this up. My mom already hates me for putting that thing on my floor. And I mean, I don't blame her, it really doesn't look that nice in the room. Anyway, remember to subscribe if you want more content like this, or like my sense of humor, which I don't even like. And yeah, that's it for the video. Hope you have a great day. Bye.